Hey guys, I want to welcome you to my kitchen for the second portion of our ripped abs versus strong core topic that we're talking about. I brought you into the kitchen so I could show you a sample day of what goes into my body when I'm starting to lean out and cut for a competition. So it's going to give you a good idea of how we structure our meals during the day, what types of foods we eat, and why perhaps we eat less or more of certain types of foods. Okay, so we're going to start with breakfast first of all. Breakfast should be composed of mainly your complex carbohydrates. Your carbohydrates are your starchy foods, ones that your body breaks down into sugar and utilizes as energy. So we're looking at foods like our breads and our oats. Okay, I like to stick to those types of foods for our carbohydrates during breakfast. I mean, there's other types of carbohydrates as well, and we get those through vegetables, but when we're talking breakfast, we're going to stick to our breads and our oats because that's the easiest way for them to get into our body. We want to keep things multi-grain for the more complex nature. And again, complex carbohydrates simply means that the body is going to break that type of food down slower and more controlled than perhaps our simple sugars or our simple carbs, like our normal processed sugars that just get broken down really fast, and a lot of it gets stored as fat. And it gets a little bit scientific and complex, but to put it short, those types of sugars get turned to fat, and these ones have a better chance of not being turned to fat. I like to keep my breakfast balanced, obviously, with the complex carbs, but the carbs should compose the majority of your breakfast. They're providing you the energy for the day. And this is the time of day when you shouldn't be too afraid to overeat. If you're going to eat a lot, do it at breakfast. I want you to think about your day and in terms of portion sizing and your complex carbs like a pyramid. Okay, a pyramid is wider at the base and gets narrower towards the top. And I want you to consider that in terms of your carbohydrates as well as the portion sizing for the day. The breakfast or the base should be your largest or widest portion. Getting towards the top where we deal with our dinners and late night snacks should be very small and composed of a very, very low to zero amount of complex carbohydrates as well. The only types of carbs you should be getting at that point are from vegetables. So breakfast, I like to do a couple pieces of toast. If you're smaller, again, I'm 195 pounds, so keep in mind that you're going to see portion sizings for me. I like to do a couple pieces of toast with a couple eggs and some egg whites. I just run out of egg whites, but they come in a carton typically, and I like to mix my eggs directly with my egg whites for some sort of omelet or a scrambled egg mix. And sometimes I'll turn it into a sandwich, where on the sandwich I'll put a little bit of grated old cheese, some salsa, as well as a couple slices of tomato and maybe even avocado for our good fats as well. Makes a nice healthy breakfast sandwich. You can do an oatmeal, okay? Oatmeal is really good. Let's keep it real oatmeal. We don't want that garbage in the packs, the prepackaged oatmeal. Buy the real oats, spend the time to cook it because it's going to benefit you in the long run, okay? So breakfast should be composed of the carbohydrates, the protein and stuff from your eggs, good fats from stuff like avocado, almonds, types of nuts if you want to throw those on your oatmeal. And I also like to have a protein shake with my breakfast in the morning. And with my protein shake, I'll throw in some frozen fruit, blend that with some water and a little bit of milk to get my dairy vitamin D, and have that in conjunction with my breakfast. So a nice big breakfast. We move on to our midday snack. So for our mid-morning snack, again, we're probably going to focus on getting something into the body that, again, has a bit of a carbohydrate content, as well as just good energy. And again, this is a good time to, again, if you want some fruit, you can introduce some more fruit. So things like apple and all-natural peanut butter. You can slice up your apple, about a tablespoon worth of the peanut butter, dip away, enjoy that, good protein, good nutrients, vitamins from your fruit as well. This is an energy bar or a meal replacement bar. I'm going to kind of block out the title here so I'm not directly advertising this product. But this is a bar that, again, has a high caloric value to it, good protein, good carbs, give you the good energy you need, and that way you get it into your body earlier in the day as opposed to later in the day where you're going to store it as fat. Or something along the lines of our fat-free yogurt and mixed nuts, which I keep kind of in an all-purpose container here. These are mixed unsalted nuts. And that'll be our mid-morning snack. Let's move on to lunch and take a peek at what we do for that. So the lunch meal, here's where we start dealing with a little more of the complexities of how to eat. We want to make sure that during lunch or at the lunchtime that we're starting to phase out those grains, okay? We're not getting the carbohydrates from those sources anymore. We're trying to get them more from our vegetable counts. So we got green peppers, I got celery, I got tomatoes out here, just to kind of give you an idea of how to compose, which I think is the best type of food to have for our lunch, which is a nice salad with a complement of a protein as well. So every meal or every main meal should have a good value of lean protein, whether it comes from our whey powders or whether it comes from actual meat, which is the best source of protein you could possibly get, is that animal meat. But here you'll notice that I have some nice boneless, skinless chicken breast. This is actually taken out for dinner tonight, but what I'll do is before I make my dinner is I'll cook the whole entire bunch of these and I'll pre-cut them and they'll go into our salads for lunch. So my wife and I will have some pre-made, very healthy, not sauced. I like to spice them. Remember, spice your food, don't sauce your food. Still tasty, but none of the fat, none of the calories that come with that extra garbage you put on top. So spice your food, don't sauce your food. There's a little tip for you as well. So for lunches, let's stick with the salads, with our lean meats. And again, I'm explaining to you more of a cutting style diet that I like to utilize before going into a competition. But more importantly, just to keep myself lean if we're dealing with summers or you just want to stay more lean than you normally are. So salads, meat, on to our mid-afternoon snack. So this is an easy one, guys. This is a very easy one. Mid-afternoon snack, so you don't have any controversy. Let's keep it raw vegetables. Cut up your favorite raw vegetables, and you know what? Eat as many as you want. Raw vegetables full of all the nice vitamins, nutrients, minerals that we need, as well as they have a source of carbohydrate. But again, these are the type of carbohydrates that aren't readily as stored as fat. So again, it gives us a useful means of providing that sustained energy, but without storing that excess body fat that we hate and dread. So raw vegetables, mid-afternoon snack. Let's move on. So we make our way to dinner, which is my most favorite meal of the entire day. I'm Irish. I have an appetite. In fact, I thought about having my own show, Tyler vs. Food. I know you've probably all seen Man vs. Food, but I have an appetite. I promise you, I can eat a ton. When it comes to dinner, I like to eat a ton of one thing, and that's meat. So I brought out the good stuff for you. A couple types of meat that I really like to center my diet around when it comes to getting ripped and lean. Salmon, and again, this is packaged salmon, but no preservatives, so it's fresh packed, it's frozen right away. You'll notice right on here that it says has no trans fats, and it's a great source of omega-3 polyunsaturated fats. That's our good fats as well. Make sure you're getting good stuff. I make sure I research before I purchase anything. It's always best to buy fresh, but again, fresh sometimes is extremely expensive. And when I say fresh, I mean right from the counter where they cut it and they give it to you and you eat it that night. So this is a good way to save the budget as well as eat well at the same time. And I brought up the great stuff for you, talking about cutting the budget. I'm sorry, I'm about to show you a little bit more expensive cut of meat. This is a T-bone steak. They had them on special, so I did save a bit of money. But I'm a red meat fan, and red meat is just, it's my Achilles heel. So I like to get good steak, good extra lean ground beef. But again, during our cutting diet, I like to stick to more to the ground turkeys and ground chicken, so remember that as well. I didn't get into much detail about portion sizing here. That's a whole other topic on its own. I'm just showing you the types of foods and when to eat them and why not. So I match up for my dinners. The focus is around the meat and the vegetables. That's it. I have no source of grain, so it's not meat, vegetables, rice, meat, vegetables, potato. I like to keep all of my complex carbohydrates from stuff like grains, potatoes, rice, have you, at lunch and before, nothing after that. The reason is you want to have the time during the day to be able to metabolize that and get rid of it before falling asleep and not storing any of it. So steak, salmon, vegetables, tons of vegetables, and a good controlled amount of meat as well. Let's move on to our night snack if you have to. So if you're anything like me, you're hungry all the time and even at night, and that is the time where the damage can be done, and we know that is the nighttime snacking. You know, we do our very best all day to avoid overeating and eating the wrong foods, so that sometimes we set ourselves up for failure. If we're not eating enough during the day, we're leaving ourselves binging on food at night, and that's where the real damage is done. So what I'm going to do is show you a few foods and a few techniques that you can use for after dinner, before bed, to still get some sustenance in your body, or a little trick to show you how to combat and play a psychological mind trick on your body to make it think it's full. So the first and foremost is you want to avoid completely those carbohydrates that are going to store as fat. Basically, what you put in your body right before bed, it's going to be yours forever unless you do it intelligently. So what I like to do is I like to cut up some vegetables really thin into little strips, and I like to wrap a piece of lunch meat, lean lunch meat, around it. So I'm getting meat and vegetables, but again, putting some food into the body, it gives it a little bit of work to do, and it gives the mind something to focus on, so you're filling up your stomach and avoiding those calories from the carbohydrates that we don't want. The second is those mixed nuts, unsalted mixed nuts, protein, good fats. Let's keep them relatively low, so when you're having a serving of nuts, almonds, cashews, walnuts, stuff like that, it's not a bag, it's not a bowl. I'm talking, it's a very small handful, fits right in the middle of your palm. Sometimes you can go from the rule of thumb for about 8 to 12 is a pretty good logical guess as well, depending on your size, obviously. For me, somewhere around 12. For you, if you're a 145-pound woman, you might be looking at something more around 6 to 8 to get the recommended amount of nutrition from them. Thirdly, lastly, my first choice is vodka. No, I'm kidding. This is water. It's H2O. And what you want to do is pound this back, and what it does is it will fill your stomach up. It triggers your mind to recognize that as sustenance, and again, it makes it think like you have been eating. So that's something to remember. And from here, we go forth, we attack food, we try our best to stay healthy, but bottom line is, remember, you are what you eat. It's very cliche. You are what you eat. What goes in reflects what comes out. So do yourself the favor, stay on top of it, eat great foods. Let's think about the pyramid again. Those carbohydrates start big in the morning and they taper towards the end, just like the portions start large, and again, they taper towards the end as well. I hope you have a good day, and again, remember, I'm here for you. Post your comments below. Not only that, we just started up a Project Vertical Jump Training System fan page on Facebook. The link will be posted below, as well as check out our landing page. Check out a free gift I have for you below, a free workout. You can go right to the site and download this free workout. All you got to do is give me your email address, and I'm going to give you a free ebook workout on the house, straight from our team at Project Vertical. So I hope that makes you happy. Stay tuned for much more to come in the future, and always yours in flight, yours in nutrition, Tyler Ray of Project Vertical.